Anthropic's product page for Claude Code says, if you can describe it, you can build it, democratizing who builds software. OpenAI ran a Super Bowl ad with basically the same promise. You can just build things. Then you read the terms of service. Anthropic, you may not develop any products or services that compete with our services, including any AI or machine learning algorithms or models. OpenAI and Google have the same clause, and it doesn't matter whether you subscribe as an individual or pay for raw API access, the fine print says the same thing. Build whatever you want, as long as it doesn't compete with us. So the honest version of that slogan is, if you can describe it, we may allow you to build it. And they enforce it. June 2025. Windsurf, popular AI coding tool. OpenAI tried to acquire them. Anthropic cut their Claude access. Their chief science officer, it would be odd for us to be selling Claude to OpenAI. 2 months later, Anthropic revoked OpenAI's own API access. OpenAI's engineers were using Claude code internally. Violation, cut off. And it's not just the big names. Individual developers have been banned too. Accounts suspended with no warning, no explanation, no refund. That's a lumberyard refusing to sell you wood because you might build a house for their competitor. That's not a store anymore, it's a gate. Now, the stated reason for these clauses is distillation. Don't train a clone on our outputs. Fair enough. But Windsurf wasn't distilling. Neither was OpenAI. They were paying customers. The clause says competing products or services, and it got enforced as a lever for access, not a shield against theft. So the question is, what exactly are they selling? Is it a tool? Tools don't have kill switches. When you buy a hammer, Stanley doesn't keep the right to shut it off if you start a competing hammer company. Figma doesn't ban you from designing a rival design tool. You buy the thing, you own the thing. You build with the thing. But Claude Code comes with terms that say the opposite. You can build, as long as what you build doesn't compete with us. And Anthropic is expanding into everything. Just last month, they launched a design tool, Claude Design. Slides, prototypes, marketing assets. So the company selling you a coding agent now goes head-to-head with Figma and Adobe, the same kind of design tool I just said would never lock you out for building a rival. The surface area of competing isn't theoretical. It gets bigger every quarter. So, if it's not really a tool, what is it? I think the answer is increasingly something closer to a status good, a luxury product. Not a tool you own, a premium signal. Here's what I mean. OpenAI has a program called Tokens of Appreciation. They manufacture palm-sized aluminum plaques. Think YouTube Milestone Awards, framed in glass. Hand them out at their developer conference. 3 tiers. 10 billion tokens gets you silver, 100 billion gets you black, 1 trillion gets you blue. 30 companies hit the trillion token mark last year. Shopify, Notion, Canva, Salesforce, Duolingo, each spent roughly $3 to $5 million on API calls. In return, they got a custom plaque with their name on it, handed to them on stage. And companies posted about these plaques. LinkedIn posts, blog posts. Careerflow, a small AI career platform, wrote an entire article about their 10 billion token plaque, how it proves they're among the first 200 companies, recognized alongside Netflix, LinkedIn, and Salesforce. Nobody writes a blog post about their AWS bill. No one puts their electricity meter on LinkedIn. But tokens? Tokens are a trophy. And it's not just the official trophies. Meta runs an internal leaderboard called Claudenomics, named after Anthropic's Claude. 85,000 employees, ranked by how many AI tokens they consume. Top individual burned 281 billion tokens in a single month. Gamified badges from bronze to jade. Titles like Model Connoisseur and Cash Wizard. Employees started leaving agents running idle just to climb the board. Meta plans to bake the rankings into performance reviews. Their CTO said a top engineer who spent their own salary's worth on tokens got 10 times the output, called it a no-brainer with no ceiling. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA. I would be alarmed if a $500,000 engineer did not consume at least $250,000 in tokens. There's a term for this now: Tokenmaxxing, maximizing your token consumption as a badge of honor. Think about what that means. If you had a real competitive edge, something that made you faster in a way nobody could copy, you wouldn't brag about it, you wouldn't put it on a public leaderboard, you'd keep it quiet. So when people show off how many tokens they burned, that tells you what they're actually buying. They're not celebrating what they built, they're celebrating how much they spent. It's like bragging about your electricity bill instead of what you made with it. Unless the bill itself is the point. The pricing reinforces this. Individual plans are cheap relative to what you get. Anthropic's $200 max subscription can burn through thousands of dollars in compute. Forbes reported the negative margin can run north of 2,000% on the heaviest users. Meanwhile, enterprise customers just lost their flat rate pricing. Anthropic killed bundled tokens for enterprise seats in April. Everyone's moving to metered billing, pay for what you use. So individuals get cheap access. The developers who spread the product, post about it, make it aspirational. Companies that depend on it pay full freight. This isn't a mistake, it's price discrimination. This is how luxury brands have always worked. A Birkin-bag costs a few $1,000s to make, sells for around $12,000. But you can't just walk in and buy one. You need purchase history, a relationship, the right profile. Unless you're a certain kind of person, a celebrity, an influencer, someone whose ownership makes the bag more desirable to everyone else. Those people get it at sticker price. Everyone else pays more, or waits. I'm not saying Claude Code is a handbag, but the mechanics rhyme. Cheap access for the people who spread the brand, full freight for the people who depend on it, and a non-compete clause that makes sure nobody takes what they've learned and builds a cheaper version. There's a signaling dimension for enterprise buyers too. A company adopting Claude Code isn't just buying a productivity tool. They're telling their own engineers, we spend on the best for you. We're not cheaping out. And they're telling customers and investors, we're partnered with the company building the future. We're in the right room. These labs are running ads on national television now. Their CEOs are on stages and podcasts every week. That kind of brand carries weight in a way a line item on an infrastructure bill never will. Now there's an alternative. Open weight models. Llama, DeepSeek, Qwen, Kimi, they've been closing the gap fast. In 2023, 18 months behind the frontier. Mid-2025, 6 months. By March 2026, the best open weight models are within striking distance on coding benchmarks. One analysis puts them at roughly 94% of the frontier's performance. The exact number depends on which benchmark you look at. The direction is clear either way. And they're 10 to 50 times cheaper on inference. No non-compete clause, no company that can decide tomorrow that what you built competes. You actually own what you build. So what's the premium actually buying? Part of it is the frontier guarantee. As long as you keep paying, you're always on the latest model. And if you have the right relationship, you might get invited to use the model they won't sell to everyone else. Anthropic's mythos. So good at finding and exploiting vulnerabilities, they decided it was too dangerous to release publicly. A hand-picked group gets in early. Your hacking abilities get an upgrade, while the rest of us wait. Part of it is the safety story. Hard to verify, harder to refute. For enterprise compliance teams, a closed American model with a documented safety framework beats deploying a model whose training data and safeguards you can't audit, regardless of what the benchmarks say. And part of it is the signal. The trophies, the leaderboards, the branding. The sense that using this tool says something about who you are and where you're headed. These companies tell you, in product pages and Super Bowl ads, that you can build anything. And in the terms of service, buried where almost nobody reads, they tell you that you cannot seriously build anything without their mercy. They're expanding into everything. The marketing, the pricing, the trophies, the kill switch. All of it makes more sense when you look at it this way. They're not selling a tool. They're selling a ticket to the future. And you're not allowed to use that ticket to build your own ride. So what are they actually selling? Not just intelligence, and not the productivity tool it gets marketed as. Frontier AI is turning into its own strange category, and the gap between what's on the slogan and what you're actually paying for is what makes this whole market so confusing, and, at the same time, so interesting. So I want to hear it. What do you think they're selling? And what do you actually want to buy? Drop it in the comments and let's argue it out. If you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe. Thanks for watching.